So my name is Gordon Spence. I'm the Finance Director at Hankinson Whittle Programmed. I'm responsible for all aspects of the company's finances, from budgeting, forecasting, cash management, financial reporting, asset management, you name it, I'm responsible for it. So the main problems are around lack of control on purchasing and inaccuracies on cost reporting as well at a contract level. So there was no working solution in place. We're a multi-site operation, so we've got 5 different locations, and I think it's fair to say that each site or division were doing things in their own way, so almost working in silos. They had controls and systems in place, some better than others. Essentially, we needed to standardise that process and our approach to contract costing. So that was the main reason, or the main thing that we're trying to solve. We quite early on made the decision to switch to Xero for the back office account solution. So we needed something that could speak to Xero. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different risks, I guess, with bringing any new system into place. I think specifically on LiveCosts, it was a relatively new product to market, which brings risks in itself. You know, we're kind of asking ourselves, has it been tested properly? Will it deliver on the functionality that you say it is? Will it evolve and meet our future needs? The main thing for me, the biggest benefit has got to be the PO tracking. So in a lot of businesses, now I've been involved with SMEs for probably the best part of 20 years, the PO is often the last document to go in the system, if that makes sense. Somebody's ticking a box somewhere rather than seeing PO as being a fundamental control. It's got to be the starting point. If that PO isn't in place, you're essentially going to be purchasing on a contract without authority. So having the PO tracker in place has been our number one benefit. There's no doubt about it. It gives us insight on pending purchases before liabilities land, which helps some cash flow projections, but also on the month-end WIP valuations. So one of the previous issues we had were identifying invoice accruals. This really helps us. We can look at open POs where the invoice hasn't landed, line up the time in. If we know that we've had receipt of services or receipt of goods, we're pulling the cost in as a liability. So it's those little things from quite a really basic piece of functionality that's made a big impact on the business. Just generally, we know that time savings have been made because we're spending our time on different tasks that we were previously. So I'll give you an example. When we complete the WIP process, the month-end valuation process, historically we were kind of dropping data out of Xero. We were sifting through and sorting it by job numbers. It was quite a manual process. It could take probably a day and a half. Now we can drop that same data out of LiveCosts within a matter of minutes. We pivot the data and then we pull it into our valuation reports. So we can get 5 divisions done probably in a couple of hours, whereas previously I said that could take up to a day and a half. So we're getting that time back to focus on understanding the numbers rather than processing transactions and reports. I think that month-end WIP process is a lot slicker. So, the best way to sum it up is when finance and operations leave the room, we're all on the same page. There's no massive queries around finance supposed to cost the wrong job, missing data, that type of thing, which almost detracts from the process, which is to agree costs, agree what we can value with the client, and then agree what we can bill with the client. So the removal of all those queries, I think it's been a bit of a game changer. And I'd like to say that ops are probably a bit more confident in the information that comes from finance. It also pushes the onus to the front end of the process. So, if we get it right at the front end from the point of raising the PO, everything should flow through properly. And because the operations teams are directly involved in that, it's perhaps giving them a bit more responsibility to make sure the transactions are right. So we see a lot less cost transfers between ledgers now, because things are right from the off, which is really good. The good thing is we weren't manually keying out new information. It's speaking to Xero, and it's pulling data in or syncing it through drop downs, which is fantastic. It wasn't a case of starting afresh, which you'd have to do with a lot of systems. So I'd say that anybody that is familiar with Xero shouldn't have any problems with that setup and integration. We've also been kind of looking at the functionality around pulling sales invoices into LiveCosts as well, which I think when we signed up, it was still in trial. It's a nice bit of functionality. I think with time it could probably improve further, but it just gives the guys a bit of an idea on the income that's tracking against the costs as well, which comes in handy if they're using the budgeting feature as well. We see it as a long-term relationship, and the benefit is the LiveCosts guys, Niall, Kieran, Patrick, they're all been really open in terms of the roadmap and saying if things can be improved, they will be improved to the benefit of all the users. So we're kind of remaining open-minded and look forward to seeing what else is going to be coming online in the future. I'd say give it a go and don't overthink it. Because we'd looked at a few alternative add-ons to Xero that they just weren't up to it. But you get to the point of overthinking it. So I think with these systems, just to say, give it a go. The buy-in for us at the start was the way that Kieran and Patrick and Niall interacted with us. Weren't at all pushy, really open and honest about stage of development, the product, all the good things that were happening. But it didn't feel like it was a sales push with a lot of, which could be common with a lot of kind of IT providers. And everything they've said, they've delivered on. True to the word, I think the support function's fantastic. To be able to click a button, the bottom left of your screen, send a message and get a response within 5 minutes and know who's talking to you is just, I've not experienced anything like that before. So it's a really personable service, which we're more than happy with, and I think that would add a benefit to a lot of businesses of our size within our sector. If they were considering moving away from existing IT provider or just looking to put something in place for the first time, I think it's a definite perk of LiveCosts.